Hello, hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Weekend Eve. I am Brian Crest, the Awesome Voice. This is Any Given Sunday with Coach 24 Darwin Penny and the man behind the scenes running the show, DJ Scatter, George Walker. Mr. Walker, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing fine, and it is a fantastic evening. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. The weather has been beautiful the last few days. I definitely known that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So, um, Coach 24, he is still out of town doing his job, trying to find some great players so the Royals team won't be fighting for last place every year. So, anyway, but hopefully I will get him next week. And in 2 weeks, definitely for sure. So we'll keep working on that and see how his schedule is going, and we'll go from there. I will tell you an announcement later on in the show about what's going on the show. So anyway, first of all, last week we did not have a show. In fact, I was not even in town. I was in Las Vegas hanging out with some friends. And the first place we went to, once we got off the airplane, we got a rental vehicle, got all of our baggage checked in and in the room and everything, was put on some swimming trunks and go swimming. They had a pretty phenomenal pool, so I was down there, or I should say our group went down there, and we were playing, in the water and playing a little volleyball with some guys and a couple of gals and everything. So totally enjoying that. We had a great weekend. There was a comedy show we went to Friday night, and those guys were pretty funny. One guy was named Amir, and he said it was short for a miracle. So anyway, and he had a guitar. He was always playing it. But the thing that I loved about the comedy show was all three of them was kind of old school. And I miss old school comedy because today I guess everybody is so worried about offending somebody or saying the wrong thing or saying jokes that, Richard Pryor and Ralphie May and guys like those that made a living out of it, you almost seem like it's untouchable. You can't touch those anymore because you want to offend somebody. But man, I totally enjoyed it. It was funny. And then the next evening we went to a show, and there was a contortionist. Oh my gosh, this young lady, she was a contortionist. She was in a oversized martini glass, and so. But she could bend herself all certain ways. She had put a drink below her and bent backwards far enough that she could grab the cup, the glass, with her mouth and drank it while she was in an upside down. And oh my gosh, I could have never have done that. Not even as a baby, I could have been that flexible. So she was pretty flexible. There was a guy that did a balancing act. There was a couple of guys that were playing like a drum and telling jokes, and they had those balls. You know how like the Western, they kind of have, if you have two of them, you can clack them together. Oh, yeah. So they had one each, and then they had a military man come up who was sitting in the front row. And so he had a flower. You know how those pins are in doctors' offices, and they have the flowers on them, so you can't take them away. from The Office. Well, he had that. It was a little long, and one of the guys was able to knock the flower part of the stick off of that. So that was pretty impressive. And then you had a magician, and then you on the Ellen show, I guess I don't know how long ago it was. There was a roller skating couple that did some really great, things skating, and so they performed, and they were pretty good. So it was a pretty good night and stuff like that. So
what theater were you in?
we were the first one. I can't even tell you which one I was in, the comedy act. I can't tell you that. But the second one, they were at Planet Hollywood, and so but they were saying that Sunday was like their last day. So we went Saturday night. So they were going to have a performance on Sunday, and they did. From what I understood, now I could have been wrong, but from what I understood was that that was their last show. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the last show of the season. Maybe it's the last show of the week. Maybe it was the last show of that week, and then Monday starts a new week. I don't know. But anyway, so we went and had a good time, and did a little gambling. I put 400. I did Baccarat. That was the game that I play when I do gamble, or I do slots. But I did a little bit of that, and I actually ended up losing a little bit of money. But it was less than it was actually $100, so it wasn't too bad. But the other I bet $400 and won $1,000. So I profited $600, but I ended up spending it on other stuff. So like paying for the rental car, dinners, breakfast, stuff like that. So, and then we went to the Haunted Museum. That was pretty cool. And then we went to the Pawn Store, the Pawn Stars. Rick Harrison, yeah, I guess is the main guy now, because the dad, and I want to say his name was Benny. He passed away, I guess, a couple of years ago. So it's on, and I can't think of which cable channel it is. Do what? Oh, you don't know either? Okay, so
No, there's so many of those channels, but if you search Pawn Stars, you'll find it.
Oh, yeah, you'll find it. So I went in there. I got a picture with me and Rick, though it was the cutout. It was standing in the back, so I took a picture, or I had somebody take a picture of me next to him and being goofy and stuff like that. Well, there was a guy named Joshua, and we were talking for a little bit, and I was looking at a lot of sports memorabilia. They have a lot of stuff that they sell and trade and all that, but they had some really amazing stuff. They had a Kobe Bryant, like an autograph picture of Kobe Bryant, but I don't know if it was the exact signature. So, but they'll tell you exactly how it is. I did see a Tony Gwynn autograph one that was way up on top, and I was like, how much is that? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it was a little too much. Well, then I saw a Jackie Robinson baseball card, and a Ted Williams baseball card. And I thought, wow, that was pretty awesome.
Did you see about getting one of them?
Well, I did for about 3 seconds until they told me how much it was. And I thought they said $50,000, but it was actually $15,000 to buy the card.
Oh, well, you could have got that.
I know. I would have done that and given it to I would have definitely given that to Bob Kendricks at the
Oh,
museum. So yeah, that would have been really awesome. So to have that just sitting there and stuff like that. And I will be talking about Bob Kendrick and later on the show too. So, but anyway, so Chumley, he has a candy store, and I guess Chumley is part of the group. I do not watch Pawn Stars that much. I used to
which is
watch.
on the History Channel.
Oh, it's the History Channel.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, it's on the History Channel. So anyway, so Chumley, a lot of people knew him, but he was coming out Saturday around noon, and so we went out there, waited in line, and it really wasn't a long line because I'll tell you what, if you would have gotten in a line to try to get like Salvi's autograph here in Kansas City or Patrick Mahomes, you would have been waiting hours. And there was only a few rows of people standing there, and we didn't wait no more than maybe 15, 20 minutes possibly. And so we went in. I bought a autographed picture, had him sign it, um, and then got a picture with him, and then I posted it on Facebook. And a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, that was so cool!" And I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is, but obviously he is. He's famous enough that people said, "Oh my God, that was so cool." So anyway, and I think Joshua is on there on the show too and everything. So I'm gonna definitely try to get a hold of him and talk with him um, because I couldn't remember where I put my his business card, and I just found it this morning. So, but I was going to work, so I will call him either tomorrow or sometime this weekend and see if I can get him to call in on the show, and that would be pretty awesome. So, but I also saw like a Ray Guy autographed jersey. I mean, they had a lot of stuff there, and it was really cool. It was really cool, just for the fact that you were there and you saw it and everything. So, um, but anyway, that was my weekend. Um, and I was gone from Thursday to Sunday, and then we were delayed a little bit because now here in Missouri and Kansas, when it's a thunderstorm, sometimes it's a really bad thunderstorm. Well, in Las Vegas, they were trying to say a thunderstorm was out there and it was delaying planes and everything, and we're looking outside, and I'm going, there ain't nothing going on. There's no rain, there's no nothing. But they were all freaking out because I guess they never get thunderstorms and stuff like that. So, but anyway, so we were a couple hours late. So by the time I got home, um, and then actually got to my place, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I just said, I'm just going to go straight to work. Um, and so I walked in with no sleep, maybe a cat nap in the car out in the parking lot of where I work at for maybe about 30 minutes, and then I take a look at the schedule and I see that I was off. I was like, oh my gosh, I could have got, and if I had known that a little bit sooner, I probably would have gotten in my vehicle and gone home and gone to sleep. But I went ahead and worked, and they were actually um, needing me because somebody else called in and everything. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll just run my route, and then you guys, it won't be as bad because we have routes and we have carriers. So I'm a rural carrier, and so I have a route that I run every day, every week, every month, every year, and so does the rest of them. And then we have RCAs that are subs. So when I was gone, I had a sub that ran my route. So and so that's what it does. Now the city side is a little bit more different. Sometimes that they will have a route that they run. Sometimes they run different. Maybe they'll run route 1 day and route 5 the next day or something like that. So they do that. As the rural side, we don't. But the rural carrier, the RCAs, the rural carrier associates, if there are, so let's just say I call in. Let's just say Monday I was supposed to work and I called in, and so they already have like people already working. If a regular is already off and everything, they get it all situated and all that. Well, if I call in, that gives them another route that they have to run. So they have to run multiple routes. So
we have somebody online says, "Can we get to sports?"
Oh, who is that?
I don't know. It doesn't show the name. But,
Oh my gosh.
Says, "Can we get to sports?"
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So there we go. So anyway, Tuesday, I was texting Darwin, Coach 24, and asking him how he was doing and stuff. And then I said, "Is there a chance I can get some tickets to the Royals game?" So he got me 2 tickets to the Royals game. See, now we're talking sports. So we're going to the Royals game. I asked my friend Cardis because usually he is, he asked me, he has tickets. He goes, "Hey, you want to go?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I'll go." So I invited him. So we went. And I'll tell you what, that game Tuesday was really exciting. They played the Seattle Mariners. And so Monday night, they ended up winning 7-6. They won in extra, I believe it was in extra innings. I believe it was 10 innings or something like that. Well, Tuesday, it was no score. Well, here, let me backtrack a little bit. Monday night, Brady Singer pitches, and he pitches a phenomenal game. He goes 7 innings of no runs, but he did leave a couple of men on base when he left the game, and then the relievers did a phenomenal job of allowing them to score. So he ended up, I think, giving up like 2 or 3 runs, Brady Singer, and then turned around. Seattle came back from like a 5. I think Kansas City was up 5-0. Seattle came back and tied it, and then went into extra innings. Seattle scores a run, and then the Royals come back and score 2 runs. Ends up winning 7-6. Well, on Tuesday night, it was 0 score for 3 innings. Lyle was on the mound, and then all of a sudden, Seattle had batting practice. And so they ended up scoring 7 runs in the 4th inning, and it enticed Coach 24 to text me and said, "Hey, those seats I gave you? You need to move because obviously you're jinxing them and these guys can't stop scoring." So anyway, so we were, we didn't move or anything. We just still kept watching. So after 4 innings, it was 7-0 Seattle. So I'm thinking, oh, great. I went to a game where they're getting beat badly when they've had been playing pretty decent. Now, we'll get into that in a moment. But anyway, the next inning, the Royals scored 5 runs. So at least they came back. And part of the five runs was Bobby Witt Jr. hitting a grand slam. So I mean, I'm telling you what, there was less than 13,000 people at the game, but man, that place erupted when he hit that. It was so cool, and I was like, I had my phone in my pocket. I was trying to pull it out, and try to get a little bit of him running around the bases, and I barely got him touching home plate. But so Kansas City came back from a 7-0 deficit and tied the game So Seattle scored another run, so it was 8-5, and then Kansas City scored 3 runs in the bottom of the ninth. It ended with Salvi hitting a shot into outfield, scores a run, but Blanco, who was a pitch runner, he was going to third base, was not paying attention, wasn't watching the outfielder or anything. He just kind of trots in to third base, and the ball is there and tags him out. So had he had been safe there, we would have had a shot at a batter, and I can't remember who the next guy was. It was the guy after Salvi, but he, and I want to say it was Waters or something like that. But still, this has been the problem with Kansas City.
I was going to say, that's not good for a pinch runner.
No.
That's his only job out there.
Right, exactly.
Is to run.
Well, and the third base coach was just as much as at fault because he should have been watching. The ball came from left field. So the third base coach should have been watching and get down, hustle, something, And he didn't.
Yeah, that's bad.
He didn't even slide. He just kind of trolloped into third base and got tagged out. And this is the reason why Kansas City is where they're at right now. They are the second worst team in baseball, and a lot of people think that they are even the worst team based on what Oakland is going through. So, but, I like the fact that they're starting to score runs because at first, at the beginning of the year, Bobby Witt Jr. wasn't hitting with a lick, but he has been, coming into the series, they were 2 young stars playing in this series, Bobby Witt Jr. and Julio Hernandez. Julio Hernandez was the Rookie of the Year last year, and Bobby Witt, I believe, was second or third. And so Julio was actually having kind of a sophomore season where he wasn't performing as well as he did last year. Well, in this series, he went 2 for 5, 1 for 5, 4 for 6. So 4 for 6 was yesterday. And today, he went 5 for 5, including a 438-foot home run that he crushed on the first pitch that Carlos Hernandez threw to him. And drove in 3 runs with that hit that overtook a 4-2 lead. So it was now 5-4, and then Seattle got an extra run. They won 6-4, and the Royals, who win the first game, usually when you win the first game, and especially in a 3-game series, the best way to keep from getting swept is to win the first game, and they won the first game. So you're thinking, hey, maybe they'll win 2, maybe they'll win 3. Seattle is fighting for a wild card spot. They are right now, I believe, 1 game out of the third wild card spot with Toronto. And so I'm just like, man, we had this chance. And then all of a sudden, Hernandez, who's been struggling lately, goes 12 for 21. Now, Bobby Witt Jr., he did okay. For Monday night in the win, he went 4 for 5. And then Tuesday, he only had 1 hit, but that was the grand slam. And then last night, he went 0 for 5, and then today he went 2 for 4. So he went 7 for 18. That's not bad. That's like 350 or something like that. But the 2 middle games, and I won't even say the Tuesday night game was bad because he did hit the grand slam to bring us back into the game. But last night he goes 0 for 5, snaps a 16-game on-base streak. And so, but this is how it is. And I'm looking at this, and I got some stats and everything else. Seattle, got hit by a pitch 8 times. So the Royals pitchers hit Seattle 8 times and walked them 19 times. 19 times. When you give a team an average of 7 extra free bases in a game, that's an average of 7 extra bases. That's not the hits. And the hits, they had 23, 37, 40. They had 44 hits. So, and then you add 27 to that. That's 71 bases.
Well, when you're in the hunt for a wild card spot, you want to come up against teams like the Royals.
Right.
They'll help you out.
Right, you do. Well, I mean, Kansas City, they have been playing hard. But this ain't high school. This ain't Little League where, like, hey, you gave a valid effort. And I'm going to use an example. In 1978, I was 12 years old. I played in Grandview, Belvedere baseball out off 155th Street. And so we did go to a tournament in Fort Leavenworth. It was a weekend tournament. It was around the 4th of July. And so we were playing, and we were playing good, but we had to play 2 times a day. And the team that was the favorite was a Lee Summit team, and they only got to play 1 time a game or 1 time a day. They were, excuse me, and they were handpicked, all that. Our team was our baseball team, the Rangers. Now we added a couple of players so we could have, in case somebody got hurt or something, and stuff like that. I believe we added like 2 or 3 players. But anyway, so we had to play twice a day. They only played once, but we had a shot at playing Lee Summit for the championship. And our manager, the coach, his name was Russell Jumper, and he said, look, and it was hot outside. It was about as hot as what it's going to be starting Saturday again. So, but he was like, we played well, but I'm going to give you guys a choice. Do you want to play? Because if you win this game, you're going to have to turn around and play another game, which would have been 3 games we would have had to play, where they would have only had to play 2, which was against us. And so, he didn't drove us to oh, you need to win, you need to win, you need to win. He was like, hey, let's have fun. Okay? That is not Major League Baseball. If you are playing and scoring runs, but you're not winning, it does not matter. You got to outscore them and win these games. So, I know that they're playing harder. They're playing hard. I hear the manager tell me they're playing hard. They're playing, they're playing the best they can. 2 teams are fighting it out. No, one team walked away with a 3-1 series win over the Royals, and we ended up losing more games again. And so we just need to start winning games. And so that frustrates me. Now I still love going to the games. I'm still going to go to the games. So saying that, I can say this because at least I go out there and I do cheer for them and everything else. But we need to get better. And Carlos Hernandez cannot throw a 99-mile-an-hour meatball to a guy that can bash it out of the park, which he did bash it out of the park. They hit 2 home runs today. They hit 7 in the series. The Royals only hit 5, but the difference was the only thing that Seattle did worse than the Royals was they struck out a lot. The Royals didn't strike out as much. But saying that, everything else, Seattle had 8 double plays. The Royals only had 2. I mean, so if you match up all the, the small stuff, like in football, you say the special teams are important. A missed field goal, a missed extra point can cost you a game. Well, the lack of double plays, galloping into third instead of sliding in and fighting to get that base, it's just so frustrating. So, but like I said, I still go to the games. But this is the problem with the Royals, and so I know that they're trying to get a stadium, but getting a new stadium has nothing to do with the performance of the Royals. That is John Sherman's issue. That's his challenge to do, and everything else. And so we are up at halftime on the Any Given Sunday show. Coach 24, Darwin Penny, Brian Cressy, Awesome Voice, DJ Scatter, George Walker. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little Chiefs, and then I will talk about Bob Kendrick and what is going on with him. So we will be back. 816-599-6893 is the number. Sorry about that, and we'll be back.
Hello, Kansas City. This is Emma Venn with Afripel. I am encouraging you to come out August 26th for the African Gospel Festival 3.0. If you're looking for a great African food, vendors, gospel artists, that will be the place to be. Highland Community Church of Christ, August 26th, beginning at 5 p.m. Call me 816-824-0275. See you there.
All right, we are back on Any Given Sunday on KUAW, KUAW.org.
And we do have a question on the screen.
Okay.
It says, what are your thoughts on the proposed sites for the new Royal Stadium? So what do you think about the proposed sites?
Okay, well, there's one site that's in Kansas City, or in Jackson County, and then there is a proposed for Clay County. And I will tell you this right now, If Clay County ends up getting it, good for them, but it will be it will be horrible for the Royals because they have talked about downtown stadium, downtown stadium, downtown stadium. And if you move it to Clay County, then you're not downtown. You're trying to build up Kansas City. You're trying to get people to come in and not only come to a game, but all the events and festivities that would be around it, like the Power and Light and T-Mobile and everything else. And so if you end up moving it away from there, it is going to hurt Kansas City as a whole in the city itself. So right now there's a lot of if, ands, and buts. There's I've listened to other personalities, other radio personalities that said, what's going on and stuff like that. But my personal opinion is get it in Kansas City, get that downtown stadium. And yes, it is a focus because, the one thing John Sherman did say, and he was talking about it yesterday at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum with Rod Manford, who was there yesterday, and I'll tell a little bit more about that. But John Sherman said, I'm not going to be here forever, so he wanted to build a stadium that will be here in Kansas City forever. I'm 57 years old. I'm not going to be here maybe another 50 years. Now, my daughter tells me I'm going to live to be 150 years old. So, but I'm kind of saying that tongue in cheek. But in order to try to keep the Royals stable for the years after we're gone, after John Sherman is gone, after Brian Kress is gone, after other people are gone, that the stadium will be there and it will be solid and the Royals will still be prospering. We need to have that downtown stadium. They need to fix it somehow. I don't know what they've got to do. They can't even do a vote until next year, at April at the least. So that is my opinion, and that's what I'm going with. That Kansas City, Jackson County needs to have it. Jackson County has been doing a great job of this, and if it ends up going in Clay County, the Royals drop the ball, and it will be purely pointed out to the Royals as the reason of fault or the reason why it didn't stay in Jackson County. But I do feel and I believe that that it will stay in Jackson County. Right now, we don't know. And saying that, yesterday at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, Rod Manford was there talking about, they had an hour speech, I guess, as you would say, about baseball and where it's going and everything. And so for like 50 minutes or so, they were just talking about London baseball, games playing in baseball or games playing in London, and that selling T-shirts. They didn't talk about what is going on with the Royals and what is moving on down for the downtown stadium. You would have thought that Rob Manford, the commissioner of baseball, would come in and have some idea or at least would tell us as fans and radio personalities, writers, and the media what is going on and what we need to do to get this taken care of. And they didn't. They talked about it for about 8 to 10 minutes, and got nothing out of it. It's not like the commissioner comes here to Kansas City or any city on a consistent basis. When you got the commissioner in here, you need to take full advantage of having him here. If your mom and dad live out of town and you bring them in for a visit and they're here for a day, you want to spend the day with them. You don't want to go, oh, well, I've got to go to work and I've got to work overtime and everything, and by the time you get home, they have to leave again. Well, that's what it was with the Rob Manford. You need to get this going. And so I'm not blaming the museum whatsoever, but I am blaming the Royals. Well, more importantly, John Sherman and Rob Manford for this. You know, why are you talking about London when Kansas City needs to know what's going on with the stadium and what the progress is with the stadium? We don't even know how progressive this is going. Right now, it's stalemate. You know, we can't even get ready to do voting on the tax bills and stuff like that, because I believe John Sherman said he was going to put in over $1 billion, and I think the city, Jackson County, was going to be like a 3/8 cent tax raise. But if you go to Clay County, it's going to be more of a 1 cent or more tax rate. So it's even going to be higher. So that's why I keep saying it's going to be in Jackson. It's going to end up in Jackson County. But we just need to know what's going on. Let us know. Give us the information. You know, right now we are basing our opinions on stuff we really don't know what's going on, because I guess you could say we are all ignorant because we don't have the information for us to determine what is going on. And that is sad. So John Sherman, you need to get your act together and let us know what is going on so we can at least process this and go on, instead of leaving it in the mud, in a puddle in the mud, and just walking away. So, you know, I'd like to think that he knows what he's doing and everything else. He's a billionaire. He was not, I mean, you have to have some smarts to be a billionaire. And he's run a successful business with Evergy and everything else. So that's the part that's frustrating me, but that's what it is right now. So anyway, so back to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. Well, today they had the new entries for the members of the Hall of Game ceremonies. Now, I was there in 2018 when J.R. Richard, Eddie Murray, Dick Allen, and Kenny Lofton, and I know there was somebody. Oh, I think I said J.R. Richard. I got to see J.R. Richard. That was awesome. But anyway, the new inductees of the class of 2023 is Vida Blue, which he was after he passed away. Dwight Gooden, Mike Norris, and anybody who doesn't know Mike Norris, he was a pitcher for the A's when he was on that 1980 Oakland A's baseball team that had the 4 pitchers that were just phenomenal, but unfortunately Billy Martin ran them into the ground. That's why Kansas City was able to pass them and go to the World Series. Al Dowling, Dontrell Willis, and then they're going to honor Jim Mudcat Grant's Black Aces. Now, Greg Proops is going to be the MC again. He did it in 2018. I don't know if he's done it any other years. I imagine he has, but I know that he did it in 2018 for sure. If you want to get tickets, go to nlbm.com and get your tickets. Now, I believe it's September 9th. I didn't write it down, and I apologize, but I'm almost positive it is September 9th that the ceremonies, and it will be a Saturday night. So anyway, congratulations to those players. I'm looking forward to going to it. I'm definitely going to get tickets, and I'm definitely going to go. Definitely would love. Oh, I don't know if I even said this one. Dwight Gooden is also on that list. the New York Met pitcher. So, and I think I missed that. I can't believe I did that. But anyway, so Dwight Gooden, Vida Blue, Mike Norris, Al Downing, Downing, Al Downing, Dontrell Willis, and then honoring Jim Mudcat Grant and the Black Aces. So, so anyway, congratulations. That's September 9th. And if you like I said, MLBM.com, or go to Facebook and go to Bob Kendrick's profile, and he would have all that information. So now, saying this, going back to the Chiefs, or I'm going to the Chiefs, hadn't even talked. How awesome is a show? Now, I love talking about Chiefs. Don't get me wrong, but how awesome is it, DJ, that we talked for 50 minutes, and just now we just talked about the Chiefs. We talked about the Royals. We talked about, I talked about Las Vegas. We talked about the museum and everything that's going on there. But we are now finally talking about the Chiefs. The Chiefs today left camp up in St. Joseph at the college in St. Joseph, and so they will be coming here, or they should already be here, as they load up to go to Arizona and play the Arizona Cardinals on that same slick field that they played in the first game of the regular season last year and in the Super Bowl. So hopefully the field will be much better. Andy Reid said that Patrick Mahomes and the starters are going to play 2 quarters, so they'll play the first half. Now, I don't know if he will play the first half. I think what will happen is Patrick Mahomes will play a couple of series, and if he is phenomenal, then they're gonna bench him and then play the backups. But if he struggles a little bit, I think they will keep him in there a little bit more to try to get more tuned up. They don't want him to get hurt. He's not going to play next week against Cleveland in our home preseason opener. But Andy Reid always says, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, which is really the only time that you're not sure what he's going to do. It is the preseason, because in the regular season, when he says something, he usually follows through and gets takes care of the business. So anyway, right now there is 12 minutes 54 seconds left in the first quarter. The Browns and the Eagles, the only preseason game tonight, is 0-0, so no score. And then tomorrow we've got the Panthers going to the Giants and the Bengals going to Atlanta. So we got that going. I know. My brain froze a little bit. So I had something I was going to say. Oh, in a couple of weeks, in 2 weeks. So next week will be the final preseason weekend for the NFL, and then they take the break over the Labor Day weekend, and then the next Thursday will start the NFL with the Chiefs hosting the Detroit Lions. In 2 weeks, I will be doing my NFL prediction show on KUAW, and we will talk about, and hopefully Coach 24 will be here, but it'll either be we talk about, where we're, how the season's going to go and everything else. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win the divisions, how teams are going to, how they're going to go, who is going to make the playoffs, and who will go to the Super Bowl. So we're going to do that.
Okay, we may or may not be here in 2 weeks.
We won't?
Got a trip involved, so.
I didn't fall.
Okay. That's Labor Day weekend coming up there.
Right. It's the Thursday before Labor Day weekend.
I think I'm going to be gone.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
may have to do that next week or the week after.
okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We may be able to do that. Well, then I would probably have to squeeze it in, possibly, if I do not get Joshua from Pawn Stars on the show to call in. Then we'll do it then. So when I get home, I'm going to start doing all of my stuff. Also, when I was coming back from Vegas, I talked to the associate head coach of the UMKC basketball team, men's basketball team, and so I asked him if he would come on our show. He said he would be glad to do that. So when I get a confirmation of him coming in, I will let people know, and we will go from there. How's that sound?
All right.
So,
Also, you got a message on the board that says they want to know your thoughts on the Chiefs running back room.
on the Chiefs running back room,
Yeah.
well, right now, Pacheco is not going to play until the regular season. They're going to make sure he is completely healthy for the season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in what
Is he on a bubble?
No. Therese Paylor. I can't believe I forgot his name. He was such a phenomenal man. He always said that last year of somebody's contract was the best. I can't even. Oh my gosh, I am just totally blowing it right now. But anyway, Clyde Edwards-Helaire did okay in the first game. I think our running back situation is okay. I mean, as long as Patrick Mahomes stays healthy, he continues on producing the way he does, I think we're fine. The one thing I will definitely say that I cannot say with the Royals is I trust Brett Veach and Andy Reid. Until they prove me differently that things are going to go wrong, I am going to stick with whatever plans they've got because, hey, the last 4 years we have been in the AFC Championship game at home, and actually the last 5 years. We've been at the AFC Championship at home. Nobody has done that. We have been to 3 Super Bowls. Nobody has done that in this period. They've won 2 Super Bowls, which is the most out of anybody. So I'm going to trust them. They got a plan. Let's just follow through. And we haven't even played a regular season game yet. If this was week 16, week 17, maybe I would start panicking a little bit. But right now, I think it's just fine. You've got McKinnon, you've got Pacheco, you've got Edwards-Helaire, you've got the rookie, the free agent rookie possibly coming in and doing some good things too. So I believe, is it Prince or is he? I think Prince is either a wide receiver or running back. But watch this game this weekend, and it will give you a little bit of an idea. It's funny because people like to bet on preseason games, but that Hall of Fame game with the Jets and the Cleveland Browns, I mean, that was silly because the fact that somebody said, "Oh, the Jets are going to win." No. I mean, guaranteed. They're going to win. Well, Aaron Rodgers didn't even suit up pretty much. So you had all the backups, and Cleveland won with players that are not even going to see the field when the first week of the season comes. So, I mean, it's silly that you do it that way, but it's okay. But to say the running back situation, I am good with it right now until I see something different. I'm from the show me state. You're going to have to show me that there's going to be issues. And with that, I am Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice, with Coach 24, Darwin Penny, and DJ Scatter, George Walker. Be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a phenomenal sports weekend.